Welcome.
Really sorry.
there's a nice human thing. Welcome to episode number 89.
89.
And tonight we are talking about setting standards in a martial arts context, whether for a dojo, coaching staff, or an academy's leadership team, focusing on safety, respect, tradition, and operational excellence. And we're going to look at why the standards matter. We're going to look at essential martial arts standards that will get set and how to introduce, maintain them. And what are some of the things that you can do with teams, schools, or personal projects, perhaps, and how to create them and keep them working. So with that, I think we should get a brief intro from Mr. Yarwood and see how it flies.
So I've been thinking a lot about this for a while. Actually, it's something that's come up when I was at Worlds testing for my 6th degree. When I was training for my 6th degree, recently in my school with some of my younger instructors, just having a set of standards, applying those standards, living up to those standards, and then at some point adjusting those standards as you grow to become even stronger. And I think having a set of standards in anything that you do is vital to how you operate within the context of whatever it is you're doing, right? So if you don't have standards, you don't have guidelines, you don't have guardrails, parameters, whatever it is, I think you just kind of go with the flow and hope everything works out, right? You don't really have a measure of what you're trying to do, what you're trying to accomplish. And you also don't have a way to measure others to the same standards as yourself. So if there's nothing there, there's no meat on the bone, it's really kind of hard to navigate in a forward direction, shall we say, right? You start drifting off one way or the other. You let things slide. Things happen over here. You let something go over there. Pretty much, rules kind of start to get bent and broken, and people act certain ways and do certain things. And it's hard to really rein that in because there's no standard to pair it against. So people say, hey, that's how we've always done it. I've seen you do it that way, so that's how I do it, right? There's never like this, you have this set rules. This is how we operate. This is how we do things. If this happens, then this happens. If this doesn't happen, then this happens, right? And I think it's an important part of, a martial arts school, a business, a job, your life, your family, whatever it is you're doing, to have a set of standards that you operate under, so that way you kind of have like that framework of how everything gets put together. And it's probably something that most people don't really think about, because they just kind of do what they do and see what other people have done and kind of follow that. I think you're on mute.
There we go.
There we go.
I think for me, when it comes to what is a good reason, I look at the standards as a student coming into your school, and as a student of life itself, right? I look at standards as the benchmark, and that's like the lowest denominator for me.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I come in, my goal is to have the standards set the stage for me to level up. And I don't do that to brag. I don't do it to, manufacture some special thing about it. I do it because I know myself, and as a person who has the possibility and has the ability to step up. Um, that's what I want. That's my goal.
Hmm.
And what I've noticed in everything that I do that isn't me, that is carries somebody else's brand. My goal is to show that less hill, less is more coaching, brings a level to the game that says these are the standards for everybody. And then there's Coach Les, who's going to come in and do his best to level it up as a personal opportunity.
Yep. And I think, like in my situation, I'm the guy at my school, and what I do, how I operate, how I act, how I speak, how I handle myself, how I carry myself, how I interact, how I relate, that's the standard of my school, right? And if I'm not doing the things I'm supposed to do and living up to the standards I've set, then I can't expect anybody else that's underneath me to do to live by them. Right? I have some young instructors that are up and coming and learning, and um things were starting to get a little squirrely. I mean, they're 16, 15, 16, 17-year-old boys, and they just I think they're still learning, right? They're in that growth phase right now, and they're going through a lot of stuff physically, emotionally, at school, at home, and there's the way they interact with each other as young men you know is is learning from each other, learning about each other, interacting with each other, and sometimes they get out of hand with things because they're boys, and that's how things go. But it's a matter of, for them, we had conversations with them. It's about when you act like that, right? If you're in front of parents and students and you're teaching and you're in charge and you're being an instructor, if you're on the floor helping out, being an assistant, how you act, how you operate, what your standards are, what our standards are, those send a message to parents and kids that that's how we are. And those young men are living examples of what our parents want their children to be, because all of those boys out there, well, everybody out there in an instructor role was at one point a low rank color belt who's learning about martial arts, who's learning about all of the life skills and the virtues that we teach. And if they see something that's not what I believe is the standard that we need to be living up to, that has an impact on them, right? And we tell our parents when they come in, we teach life skills, we teach discipline, we teach confidence, we teach all these things. And if we're not displaying it on the mats ourselves and living it ourselves, they're going to be like, well, you say all this stuff that you do, but when I see it in action, that's not what I see, right? So having those standards and me setting those standards and living up to those standards and surpassing those standards is vital to everybody else on that floor to do the same thing. And if I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do, I don't have that expectation of them doing it either. I can't get mad at them because I'm the one that they're emulating. So I have to make sure I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do, that I've set myself up to do, and emulate what I want my students to do and what I want my instructors to do. So that way we're all on the same page with everything.
Yeah. And I look at the opportunity of that, right? Is I know that if I'm being if I'm from my time in the classroom, if I'm being taught something by Mr. Vidine or Mr. James, I know that it's had the approval of you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and there's a level, there's a standard, and if it isn't that, if it doesn't come through, then my goal will be to not go, tattletale, but to look and say, hey, Mr. Yarwood, this happened and this happened. How do I, as somebody that notices differences, how do you want me to proceed?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that you have developed a great way to communicate that information and not make anybody feel small or belittled or upset or frustrated.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a big part of it, right? Because obviously there's, I have a role to play. I mean, ultimately, I'm in charge, right? And that my name is on that patch, it's on that door, it's on every kid's uniform. And if if there's something that's out of whack, out of line that isn't up to my standards, I have to address it. And I'm not gonna go and get after people and yell at them or any of that thing. I'm just gonna remind them of the standards that we all agreed upon, and that these are the standards we need to live by. And if there's an issue I need it addressed, if there's a problem, please come talk to me about it. We can discuss it and figure out what we're going to do about it. But they know, because I've talked about it many times, what my standards are, what I expect,
Yep.
and they know that there's going to be some kind of consequence one way or the other if they continue to not do what they're supposed to do, right? There's some leeway because in their situation they're learning, right? They're starting to figure out things, and I've given them some some freedom to be able to develop a personality within the structure of what I'm teaching them, the foundation that I'm building. But at the same time, if that personality becomes something that goes against the standards that we've set, then we have to bring it back in and rein it back in a little bit. And then, and I'll if I do something that isn't up to standard myself, I have to own up to it, admit it. I'll let them know, hey, I messed up here. Here's what I did. Here's how I'm going to fix it, and you're going to see it, right? So that way they know I'm being held accountable to myself. And when they see that, then they start to recognize things in themselves that they go, okay, I got to do this better. I got to do this better, because they see me doing it, right?
Yep.
'Cause I'm not perfect.
You're not?
Well, I don't know. Maybe I am. I don't know. But
Okay, Mark.
there's times that I mess up too, right? And if I don't own up to it, if I blow by it and don't address it, if it happened in front of my students or in front of my instructors, then they're like, okay, well, he's not living up to what he says, so maybe I don't need to either, right? So it's incumbent upon me to make sure that I not only set the standards, but live by those standards and improve those standards as I grow, so that they come along with me. And it's not static, right? These standards aren't static. Like you said, they're a baseline, and then you improve from there. So it's just kind of how I do things, and I take it very seriously that things are done in a way that sends the proper message to the parents, to the students on the mats, to all the people that we interact with, so that they know this is how we operate. And anybody incoming into my program, my instructor program, that's what we talk about before they're even. I'll invite, if I see, because it's an invite only program, if I see kids who would be, somebody who might fit into that program, I'll have a conversation with them prior to allowing them in and say, hey, here's how we do things, here's how we operate, here's the expectations we have of you. If this is something you want to do, then these are the things that you have to agree upon. And if you think there's going to be an issue, I don't have anything against you with it. It's just maybe if you don't think you're going to be able to live up to these expectations, then you know, we're not going to be able to have you on the team. It's not nothing against you. It's just these are the things that we expect of everybody on this team, including myself. So we give them that opportunity to say, hey, maybe that's a little too much for me, because it is. It's intense. I don't, it's not low expectations. It's very high expectations. And some kids, they're not ready for that.
Yeah.
And that's fine. At some point maybe they will be, but it's just a lot.
And I think, when we look at this, you mentioned leading by example, visual reminders, enforcing with empathy, standardizing, when it comes to the onboarding, doing the same thing consistently, time after time after time, creates a fantastically empowering conversation because it lives out there.
Hmm.
It's a living and breathing phenomenon.
Yep. And when my young instructors set that example on the floor as well, that sends a message to everybody else, right? The other students on the floor, the parents sitting there watching. When I
Yeah.
got a 16-year-old kid who's teaching class, who's running the class, and he's doing it at a high level, those parents see that and they're like, I want my kid to be like that. I want my kid to be, when he's 16, to be able to do that and operate that way, right? That comes from setting those standards right off the bat. This is how we do things. Because now we're sending a message to everybody else: is standards are set. That's how we operate. It's important to have them. Parents go, okay, well, I can set those standards for my kid too, and start to live by them at home, at school, wherever they are, so they can take those from the mat and bring them everywhere they go. It's not just what happens within the dojo. That's like a couple hours a week. Those kids spend way more time outside of the dojo, but they take everything with them that they're learning in the dojo. And having standards even for our white belts when they first come in. These are the things we expect from you. This is how we need you to operate. Of course, they're learning. They're gonna figure stuff out. They're gonna have issues. We just redirect them. Say, this is how we do it. This isn't how we do it. This is how we need you to do it. We remind them because they're still learning. And at some point down the road, as they get higher in rank, they know what the expectations are. I don't have to help. I don't have to remind them ever, because they're already doing it, because it's been set.
Yeah.
And then parents too. I mean, we set standards for our parents as well. It's not that we make them do things, but the way we operate within class, the way we do things, the way we bow in, the way we do all that, the parents are involved in that, and they know what our standards are for them. So it's something that they start to figure out as well.
As far as for me, when I look at the church that I own and run, the standards that we've set are super high. And whenever there's a discrepancy, it's something that we tackle as a team.
Mm-hmm.
And we address, sometimes it's every single person, right? We want to find out from every single person some impact, some amazing opportunity for what I would say setting a standard that I can then pick up, change, draft it, see how I can move it into my business. And some of those standards, I've watched parents go, oh, this would be a good thing to bring home and put in the bed, in your bedroom, and get you started on doing this and maybe in your homework. And I think, wow, would that have made a difference to me?
Mm-hmm.
To have that kind versus being blind or having parents that set the stage based on their stuff.
Hmm. I mean, we have stripes, right? Kids earn stripes. And 4 of those stripes are standard setting stripes. The parent stripe, how they're supposed to act at home, all the things that are expected of them while they're at home. There's a list of 6 things that we questions that we ask them, right? That the parents have to answer, and they rate their kid 1 to 5. And then they either approve or disapprove of their child testing for their next belt. So the kids have to live up to standards at home in order for them to be able to progress. Then we have the teacher stripe, which is the same thing, but at school, right? The kids take it to the teacher. The teacher evaluates how they're doing in school. Are they showing respect? Are they being on time? Are they doing the homework? Or all that stuff, right? So those kids have expectations on them that they're supposed to live up to these standards based on what we teach them. So the teachers love that stuff because those are the kids that are acting the way they're supposed to act because they have standards set for them, right?
that
Then
aren't
we
even
have
that aren't even set by the teachers.
yeah, yep. And then those kids become model students to the other students about how they should be acting in class as well. And then we have the purple stripe, which is the community service stripe. So now we set a standard that okay, it's not about you, right? It's about with the purple stripe, it's giving of yourself to others with no expectation of anything in return. Living a standard of service to others. And when you do that, you get life is more impactful to you because of what you've given to other people. And that's not just giving them stuff, that's giving them time, that's giving them compassion, empathy, all those things that go into community service. And when kids start to learn that, they carry themselves a little bit differently because of that as well. And then the green stripe is the life skill stripe, which is the thing, each testing cycle we have a specific life skill that we work on. So that's a piece that they have to sit down and think about. Okay, attitude. How am I? Like right now we're doing attitude. How am I acting when I'm in this situation? When I'm at home? When I'm at school? Is my attitude good or is it bad? They have to sit down and actually digest that and think about it and understand what it means to have the attitude they're supposed to have. And it helps set the standard for how they act, how they carry themselves, how they do things outside of the dojo. Those are all 4 of those stripes have nothing to do with being on the mats. It all happens outside the dojo. And those are all standards that we set for them. You're supposed to be doing that at home, at school, when you're doing community service, and when you're dealing with yourself. So it covers all 4 of those areas. And it helps parents to say, hey, I got this card right here, and I can give you a 1 to 5. And right now you're about a 2 on this scale. We got to move that up, right? Because they have a physical piece of paper right here. Mr. Yarwood says this is where you should be acting, and you're not. So if you don't do what you're supposed to do, you're not testing for your next belt, right? It's a
Yep.
tool for them to use to say, hey, we have standards, and you're not living up to them. It's parents love it. They love it, love it, love it. Teachers too.
Yeah. And when everybody's held to that same commitment, there starts to be team unity.
Yeah. And think about this. Those parents now, they have to be the example. Because now the parents, well, I got to do these things too. Otherwise, my kid's going to call me out. Right? So
Yes,
now
sir.
we're creating standards for the household because parents are like, oh crap, I got to do this too. I can't just tell my kid to do it and me not do it. So that's an effect.
Yeah. Wow. Wow, wow, wow.
So everything we do just ties together, right? Because that standard setting is also a leadership thing. It's an integrity thing. It's a discipline thing. It's all kinds of stuff. Accountability. I mean, you name it, it's in there.
Well, let's see if we covered everything. I think one thing that we haven't covered that I think is an opportunity is for us to be finding out like what is an area, what is the what am I looking for the word when you create a vision and a mission statement for your business, you're creating that to set a standard.
Yes.
And when we set that, whether it's martial arts, small business, whether it's your home, whether it's faith, a lot of times we have difficulty in maintaining it in a home environment. What is great about martial arts is it gives you a structured environment with your peers. It gives you a structured environment within four walls. And to be able to take that, to be able to learn from that, to be able to multiply that, to tweak that into your own personal livelihood is absolutely delicious.
Yeah. It's I mean, that's kind of the, when you talk about the mission and vision stuff, the that's what sets the standard for everything else you're getting ready to do, because that puts you on the path. That's what starts the whole thing.
Yes.
And it's vital that you understand how powerful that is when you're starting, because it's something you need to put thought into, because it's the foundation of what you're getting, the journey you're getting ready to take.
Yeah.
And if it's not a very solid foundation, it's not going to have much balance. It's going to have a lot of
Much teeth.
issues and all kinds of stuff that challenge your vision and your mission. So being thoughtful about it and putting it in such a way that's going to stand the test of time. I mean, obviously there might be some issues along the way that maybe you change it up a little bit, but right off the bat, it's got to be something that's going to be powerful for moving forward.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited. I think this is a nice way to start the next series of things for us to look into. Standardizing, integrity, accountability, and what structures you have inside the gym, what structures you have outside the gym.
Mm-hmm.
Some of taking a look at some of those, I think, in upcoming weeks would be really cool.
Yeah, I'm on, with my mastership now, I'm on another level again. I've been training for nearly 20 years to get to this moment, right? And I was hoping after I got my 6th degree, I'd have a little bit of a break, a little bit of breathing room, get away from everything and just kind of. Grandmaster gave me 2 weeks.
Woo!
August 1st, we start back up again. I'm like, oh, yes, sir.
There you go.
But I have a book that I got from him that sets a new standard level for me on my personal side, on my training side, right? I have the 9 steps towards mastership. and all the things that I'm have to work on between now and next July that raise my level, my personal level, that much higher. And they're not just things I'm supposed to do. I mean, they're standards that I have to live up to in order
Well,
for me to get to that next level.
get to the next level, and I think we've talked about this maybe 100 times. You're either expanding or you're contracting.
Yep.
There is no sitting around. I'm going to put my feet up and relax.
Yep. Yep.
So I think it's great. I'm excited to hear and listen to you here and follow along.
Yep. It's going to be quite a year, but I'm looking forward to it. Looking forward to the challenge.
There you go. All right. Well, with that, we are at 31, a little bit over. I'm going to go ahead and say goodbye to everybody, and we'll see you next time.
See ya.